My cruel mother-in-law crashed our anniversary dinner, screaming I stole her precious ruby necklace. She made everyone search our house while I stood there, helpless and betrayed. Even my husband doubted me. Will I ever clear my name from her twisted accusations? My name is Elizabeth, and I'm 31 years old. I've been married to Stephen for 5 years now. He's 35, a kind and hard-working man who runs his own small construction business. We've built a decent life together, nothing fancy, but stable and full of love. At least, that's what I thought until everything turned upside down on our 5th wedding anniversary. That day, my cruel mother-in-law accused me of stealing her expensive jewelry, and it wasn't just a quiet accusation. She made sure everyone heard it, loud and clear, right in the middle of our celebration. What should have been a happy night became a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Let me tell you a bit about the people involved so you can understand how this mess unfolded. Stephen, my husband, is the type who avoids conflict whenever he can. He's patient, sometimes too patient, especially with his mom. He loves her, of course. She raised him alone after his dad passed away when he was 10, but he's not great at standing up to her when she's being unreasonable. Then there's my mother-in-law. She's in her late 60s, sharp-tongued, and stubborn as a mule. She's never liked me much, though she's good at hiding it behind fake smiles when Stephen's around. I've always felt her judging me, like I wasn't good enough for her son because I didn't come from money or have some fancy degree. She's the kind of woman who values appearances. Her house is spotless, her clothes are always ironed, and she's got this collection of jewelry she treats like it's her pride and joy. There's also Matthew, Stephen's younger cousin, who's 28. He's a bit of a wild card, charming, loud, and always stirring the pot at family gatherings. He works odd jobs and never seems to settle down, which drives my mother-in-law crazy. She's constantly comparing him to Stephen, which Matthew hates. And then there's Barbara, my best friend since college. She's 33, single, and the most loyal person I know. She's got a no-nonsense attitude and isn't afraid to call things as she sees them, which is why I knew she'd be my rock when everything went south. It all started on the evening of our anniversary. Stephen and I had planned a small dinner at our house, just us, my mother-in-law, Matthew, and a couple of close friends, including Barbara. I'd spent the whole day cooking, roast chicken, mashed potatoes, and a chocolate cake from scratch. Stephen had even bought me a little necklace as a gift, nothing extravagant, just a silver chain with a tiny heart pendant. I was wearing it that night, feeling happy and loved. The house smelled amazing, the table was set, and for once, I thought maybe my mother-in-law would see how much effort I'd put in and soften up a little. The dinner started off fine. Everyone was chatting, laughing, and passing plates around. My mother-in-law even complimented the food, which shocked me. But then, about halfway through, she excused herself to use the bathroom. She was gone for maybe 10 minutes, longer than usual, but I didn't think much of it. When she came back, her face was different, tight, like she was holding something in. She sat down, took a sip of her wine, and then, out of nowhere, she slammed her glass on the table. "Elizabeth," she said, her voice loud enough to make everyone stop talking, "where's my ruby necklace?" I blinked, confused. "What ruby necklace?" "Don't play dumb with me," she snapped. "The one I brought over last week when I came to drop off those old photo albums for Stephen. It was in my purse, and now it's gone. I just checked, and it's not there." The room went silent. Stephen looked at me, then at his mom, his brow furrowing. "Mom, what are you saying?" he asked. "I'm saying your wife took it," she said, pointing at me. "She's been eyeing my jewelry for years, always making little comments about how pretty it is. And now, on your anniversary, it's conveniently missing. I'm not stupid." My stomach dropped. I could feel everyone's eyes on me, Matthew smirking like this was some kind of entertainment, Barbara frowning, and Stephen just sitting there, stunned. I didn't take anything, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I don't even know what necklace you're talking about. Oh, please, she scoffed. You've always been jealous of what I have. Don't think I haven't noticed how you look at my things. That's when the real chaos started. Stephen tried to calm her down, saying, Mom, let's not jump to conclusions. Maybe you misplaced it. But she wasn't having it. She stood up, marched over to her purse, and dumped it out on the table: lipstick, keys, a wallet, but no necklace. See, she said. It's gone. And I know I had it when I got here because I checked it this morning. I felt my face heat up, a mix of embarrassment and anger. I didn't take your necklace, I said again, louder this time. Why would I do that? This is ridiculous. But she kept going, raising her voice even more. You've never liked me, Elizabeth. You've been waiting for a chance to get back at me, haven't you? Well, I'm not letting this go. That necklace was worth thousands. My mother gave it to me before she died. By now, the night was ruined. Matthew, of course, couldn't resist chiming in. Well, this is awkward, he said with a laugh, which only made my mother-in-law glare at him. Barbara, bless her, jumped to my defense. This is insane, she said. Elizabeth wouldn't steal a napkin, let alone some necklace. You need to calm down and think this through. But my mother-in-law wasn't calming down. She demanded we search the house, right then and there. Stephen, caught in the middle, looked at me with this helpless expression. Liz, maybe we should just look around. To prove you didn't do it. I couldn't believe he'd even suggest it. You think I took it too? I asked, my voice shaking. He shook his head quickly. No, I don't. I just want this to stop. So there we were, on our anniversary, searching our own house like I was some criminal. We checked the living room, the kitchen, even the bathroom she'd been in. Nothing. My mother-in-law stood there the whole time, arms crossed, watching me like a hawk. When we didn't find anything, she just huffed and said, Well, you've probably hidden it somewhere clever. I'll figure it out. That's when another problem reared its head. As if the accusation wasn't bad enough, Stephen's phone buzzed during the search. He glanced at it, and his face went pale. It's the bank, he muttered. There's a problem with our account. He stepped away to take the call, leaving me with his mom and the others. When he came back, he looked like he'd been punched. Someone withdrew $2,000 from our savings today, he said. They're saying it was an online transfer, but I didn't do it. My heart sank. $2,000 was a lot for us, money we'd been saving for a vacation. My mother-in-law's eyes lit up like she'd just won something. See, she said. She's not just a thief, she's cleaning you out, Stephen. I wanted to scream. That's not true. I said. I don't even have access to that account alone, Stephen set it up. But she wasn't listening, and Stephen was too stressed to argue. He rubbed his temples and said, Let's just deal with this tomorrow. I can't think straight right now. The night ended with my mother-in-law storming out, Matthew leaving with a grin, and Barbara staying to help me clean up. She's lost it, Barbara said as we stacked plates. You can't let her get away with this, Liz. She's trying to ruin you. I nodded, but inside, I was a mess. I felt betrayed, not just by my mother-in-law, but by Stephen's hesitation. Did he really think I could have done it? And now, with the money missing, it was like the universe was piling on to make me look guilty. I barely slept that night, replaying everything in my head. After everyone left that night, I sat on the couch alone, staring at the half-eaten cake on the table. The necklace Stephen gave me was still around my neck, but it didn't feel special anymore. It just reminded me of how the evening had spiraled out of control. I kept running through every interaction I'd ever had with my mother-in-law, wondering where I'd gone wrong. Had I said something years ago that made her hate me this much? I remembered a time early in our marriage when I'd complimented her sapphire earrings, and she'd given me this cold look, like I was trying to take them. Maybe that's where she got the idea I was after her stuff. It didn't make sense, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized this wasn't just about a necklace, it was years of her resentment boiling over. I tried talking to Stephen before bed, hoping he'd back me up, but he was distracted, still on the phone with the bank trying to figure out the missing money. "I know you didn't do it, Liz," he said, barely looking up from his screen. "But Mom's upset, and I don't know how to fix this." His words stung more than I expected. I needed him to be angry for me, to fight for me, not just sit there playing peacemaker. I went to bed alone that night, the weight of it all pressing down on me, his mom's accusation, the money, and now this distance between us. It felt like my whole life was unraveling, and I didn't know how to stitch it back together. The next morning, I decided I wasn't going to just sit there and take it. I called Barbara, and we started digging. First, I checked our bank account myself. Stephen had given me the login details ages ago, even though he usually handled it. Sure enough, there was a transfer, $2,000 moved to some random account number I didn't recognize. I called the bank, and after an hour on hold, they told me they'd investigate, but it could take days. That wasn't fast enough. I needed answers now. Then Barbara had an idea. "What if it's not about you at all?" she said. "Your mother-in-law's obsessed with that necklace, right? Maybe she's covering something up." It sounded crazy, but I was desperate. We drove to her house unannounced. She wasn't happy to see me, but I didn't care. "We need to talk," I said, pushing past her into the living room. She tried to argue, but I cut her off. "I didn't take your necklace, and I didn't take that money. But I'm going to find out what's going on, and you're not stopping me." That's when I noticed something. Her purse, the same one she'd dumped out, was sitting on the couch. On a hunch, I grabbed it and started looking through it, ignoring her protests. Tucked in a side pocket, hidden under a tissue, was a receipt. It was from a pawn shop, dated the day before our anniversary, for a ruby necklace, sold for $1,500. I held it up, my hands shaking. "What's this?" I demanded. She froze, her face going white. "You sold it," I said, piecing it together. "You sold your own necklace and blamed me." She tried to deny it, stammering about how it must have been a mistake, but I wasn't buying it. Barbara stepped in, her voice calm but firm. "You've got two choices. Admit what you did and apologize, or we take this receipt to Stephen and let him decide." That broke her. She slumped into a chair and muttered, "I needed the money. My car broke down, and I didn't want to ask Stephen. I thought I could make it look like Elizabeth took it, and he'd never suspect me." I was furious, but also relieved. It wasn't about me, it was her pride and desperation. I made her call Stephen right then and confess. He showed up 20 minutes later, looking exhausted. When she told him everything, he just stared at her, disappointed. "Mom, how could you do this?" he asked. She didn't have an answer. As for the bank money, that turned out to be Matthew. He'd overheard Stephen mention our account password once and thought he could borrow some cash without us noticing. Stephen confronted him, and Matthew admitted it, promising to pay us back. It was a mess, but at least I wasn't the bad guy. In the end, my mother-in-law apologized, grudgingly, and Stephen promised to set better boundaries with her. We got the money back from Matthew eventually, and the bank sorted out the rest. It wasn't the anniversary I'd planned, but I came out of it stronger. I stood up for myself, found the truth, and proved I wasn't the pushover she thought I was. Looking back, I'm grateful for that, even if it hurt like hell at the time. So, here's where I'd love to hear from you. What do you think I should have done differently? Was confronting her the best move, or should I have let Steven handle it? I'm still figuring out how to deal with her going forward, so any advice would be great. How would you have acted if you were in my place?
Thanks for being here. Hit like, subscribe, and join me for more crazy life spills.